All right, hello. In this video, we're going to talk about the outdoor classroom setting, our students, and the teacher. So it's considerations when we are instructing and choosing locations to instruct from. Okay, instructor techniques and considerations. We'll start with the outdoor classroom setting. So our goal is to provide a positive, supportive, and safe learning environment appropriate for learning outcomes of the program. The instructor needs to understand and identify the challenges of working in an outdoor environment. Working outdoors is so much different than being inside in a classroom. We have weather, we have distractions, we have other people paddling, we have boating, we have marine life, we have all sorts of things that will distract our students and keep them from learning or from basically listening to us. So when we're picking locations and we are choosing where our inland portions are going to be and our water portions are going to be, there's definitely some considerations to keep in mind. So setting up the outdoor classroom, pick an appropriate and safe location that will provide a good learning environment. Select on water areas with appropriate water conditions for your particular goals. So an appropriate and safe location that could be on land, where we are away from hazards, outside of a parking lot where there might be cars driving around. Making sure that we're not in the way of heavy pedestrian or cycling traffic when we're doing our on land theory. Making sure that we are in a safe location where no one is going to get run into or trip or have other hazards get in the way. Selecting on-water areas with appropriate water conditions for your particular goals. That comes back to our Class 0 water classifications based on Paddle Canada, our requirements for a Paddle Canada basic skills course. So we have to consider what are the conditions on the water when we're looking at running the course. On water or water conditions also means maybe bacteria levels. Are they safe? So there are certain checks that we want to do as part of our preparedness that are going to let us know where today is a good place to run this class, considering all that's going on, including weather, traffic, and water quality. We want to avoid areas with distractions or manage distractions as best as possible. Managing is generally what it comes down to. Our students, especially in a basic lesson, sometimes they're excited, sometimes they're nervous. Attention spans vary. If it's all adults, their attention span might be a little bit longer. If it's youth, it's going to be pretty short. So someone riding by on a bike will suddenly be more interesting than whatever it is that you're saying. So we want to position our students so that there's as few distractions in their line of sight as possible. We can't get rid of all of them, but we can try to minimize as many as possible. Check for potential hazards and stay clear of them. This is also part of the preparedness that we're going to talk about. We're going to be looking at how to do a briefing as well. We have to be aware of the hazards in the area, and we have to notify the students of those hazards so that we can avoid them as best as possible. Confirm facilities and permits. Facilities could be a building that we're using. It could be where are the restrooms in this location because students are going to need them. Where are change rooms because people might need to change before and after a class. Do we have access to that sort of information? Permits. If we are in areas that is not private property, if it's managed by provincial municipal areas, chances are we might need to have a permit. So do we have the permit or are we working for somebody who else is holding a permit? So all considerations when we're looking at, where to run our class. Awareness of the environment. Environment could be weather again, it could be distractions. Environment could be so many things. Basically what we're looking for though is you must be aware of changing environmental conditions. So if we're going to be on the water for 3 hours, what is the weather going to do the entire time? Or what does the forecast say it might do all 3 hours so that we're aware of changes in wind direction, changes in speed, because that's going to dictate where do we go when we're on the water and are we staying within the requirements of what the water Class 0 water requirements that Paddle Canada wants us to be on. Make sure you and your students have appropriate equipment for environmental conditions. Again, we're going to talk about this in preparedness. If the water temperature is 20 degrees Celsius and the air temperature is 5 degrees Celsius, the water is going to be nicer to be in. As soon as we get out, we are going to be cold. We have to be in appropriate exposure gear. If the water temperature is 20 degrees Celsius and the air temperature is 30 degrees Celsius, appropriate exposure gear is probably going to be a bathing suit and maybe a rash guard to keep the sun off, because the sun is going to heat us up. Anything more and we might overheat. Understand the risks to students or wildlife if there are any. Risks are going to be related to hazards. Could be rocks, could be other traffic on the water, it could be each other. Wildlife could be wildlife that appears out of nowhere. The risk might be it's a distraction. It might be that the wildlife interacts with the equipment, depending on what the nature of what they do is. Are there jellyfish that are going to sting? All sorts of things that we might want to consider that are going to come down to our awareness or our knowledge of the area that we are teaching our lesson in. Where I teach, commonly seals are an issue. Some people are afraid of seals. So we need to manage that, ensure that they understand where the risk is or where the absence of risk is, to try and set them at ease. They also become a huge distraction. If you're talking and a seal pops up, you might as well just stop talking, because nobody's listening to you anymore. Enjoy the seal and then rally everyone back to what you're saying, and then continue on with your lesson. Educate students on the natural features, wildlife, and sensitive habits. This is a perfect opportunity for us in this environment to be able to educate about the outdoor natural spaces that we're using. From a wildlife point of view, it could be helping preserve the wildlife, preventing harassment. Natural features could be estuaries, the benefits to them, the wildlife that's in them, why we want to preserve them. Sensitive habitats could be marshy wetlands around the edges of the water that we're on, that we're also very interested in protecting and preserving. So there's an opportunity for you to educate on the area, and also potentially put in a little bit of an education to the um, environmental benefits to our natural surroundings and to us by helping preserve them.